On February 25th, 2023, Mexico's 65th president, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, otherwise known as AMLO, posted two photographs through his Twitter account that equally fanned the fires of speculation and derision. One shows an ancient Yucatec Mayan stone relief of a small figure. The other, the one that caught everyone's attention, is much more mysterious. The second photo, taken from the base of a tree, appears to show a dark, shadowy figure clinging to the trunk. There is the hint of a hand grasping the bark, as well as darker portions among the branches suggesting a body. But the most arresting part of the photograph can be seen around what appears to be the creature's head. Two red eyes, either reflecting the camera flash or glowing all on their own. Something seems to surround the head on three sides, easily interpreted as either hair or a hood. Almo, aged 69, presented these two pictures with the following message. I share two photos of our supervision of the Mayan train works. One, taken by an engineer 3 days ago, apparently from an Aloosh. Another, by Diego Prieto, of a splendid pre-Hispanic sculpture. In Ek Balam, everything is mystical. Since it was posted, some have begun referring to this picture as the Woodland Elf photo, which is how I'll be referring to it as well. Now, in recent weeks, the photo has inspired tons of discussion online. Some people see it as objective proof that supernatural beings, generally known worldwide as little people, actually exist. No one can deny that the picture is genuinely weird and creepy, and quite unsettling. One reply reads, perhaps ironically, honestly, that's a credible elf, Mexican president. I am on board. Others believe that the picture indeed captured some sort of creature, but insist that it's a known species. Most folks seem to believe that the photo is a bunch of baloney, and understandably so. Looking at the picture, it's hard not to see a person high up in a tree, looking down at the photographer with a pair of lights meant to resemble evil, glowing eyes. This has led many to suggest that the photograph is either a staged hoax or a deliberate publicity stunt to distract from more important political issues. One skeptical user replied, President of Mexico elf posting lol 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 lol. Another translated tweet read, what a normal president. How healthy everything is, how timely, and no false information. Suffice to say, the photograph has become a hot topic online, fueling a healthy amount of debate and speculation. Now, wherever people fall on the issue, however, all of them are asking the same question. Exactly what does this photo show? In all honesty, the term Woodland Elf is not a perfect match for what President AMLO claims to be in the photo. Although similar beings can be found worldwide, the specific term elf is generally associated with Western Europe. Instead, if you recall, AMLO made a reference to an Aloosh, or where there's more than one, Aloosh. These creatures are essentially the Mayan equivalent of European elves or fairies. In fact, they share many features in common with their old world brethren. They are shorter than human beings, have a loose association with human burial mounds, dislike hearing their names spoken aloud, help manage the growth of crops and plants, have a tendency towards mischief, and happily accept offerings made to them. Like the fairies of Ireland, Scotland, and the British Isles, they can be quite helpful if you stay on their good side, but cross them, and you are in a world of hurt. In his 1997 book, American Elves, an encyclopedia of little people from the lore of 380 ethnic groups of the Western Hemisphere, fairy folklorist Johnny Roth describes Aloosh as spirits who are hollow, bearded, stout, squat, and naked, except for a hat. More heard than seen, an Aloosh may appear to Mayans as a 3 to 5 year old child, around 2.5 feet tall, but it can be just 6 inches. They are made of clay and air and can appear as either young or old dwarves. Some Mayans from Campeche say Aloosh are fanged. Males appear more common than females. Fog or mist may hide their feet and curious sandals. A wide-brimmed palm hat often covers their eyes, and they whistle and run fast forward or backward in the forest at night, usually naked. Some wear a nightshirt blanket. Now, these beings are also called guardians of the mounds. Aloosh dwell in caves or Mayan ruins. When not at work, Aloosh sleep in caves, lime pits, or near limestone holes. There's something chilling about comparing Roth's description to the photo that AMLO posted. Roth's mention of Aloosh as naked except for a hat certainly seems to accurately describe whatever it is crouching in the tree, which appears to be one solid color with the exception of its odd hood or hat. This might be the result of pareidolia, a tendency for human beings to recognize patterns amidst random data. At one point, this was an essential evolutionary trait, allowing us to easily spot predators and other threats. Today, with so few dangers in the modern world, pareidolia allows us to imagine faces in clouds or the return of Elvis Presley on burned toast. AMLO's Woodland Elf photo suggests something other than simple pareidolia, however. Whatever appears in the photo seems to have a pair of eyes which, as we mentioned, are either glowing or reflecting light. Since no animal on Earth possesses self-illuminating eyeballs, we have to assume, if something other than a hoax or an actual Aloosh is compared in the photo, that we are dealing with light reflecting off the subject's eyes. Now, this is commonly known as eye shine. When an outside light source strikes a layer of tissue in an animal's eye, known as the tapetum lucidum, which greatly assist in their night vision. Now, knowing the mechanism behind the eye shine allows us to narrow the field of contenders for what the Woodland Elf photo might actually show. One of the more popular explanations is that the figure in the picture is, in the words of one Twitter user, a raccoon with a bag on its head. Sounds reasonable enough, I guess, until one considers the fact that different animals have different colored eye shine. Whatever AMLO's picture shows, the eyes seem to be glowing or reflecting red. Raccoon eye shine is often described as yellowish amber, meaning that whatever is in the branches is most likely not a raccoon. The question then becomes, which animals have red eye shine? There are plenty of candidates. Of the species that might climb trees, we have rodents, porcupines, possums, ringtails, and notably, owls all have eyes that reflect back red when struck with a light source. Sometimes even kitty cats can display red eye shine. Now, if we trust the Mexican president's tweet and assume that the photo was taken in his own country, the photo might show an owl or a possum. Given the shape of the head, it seems like an owl might be the most likely explanation. The white patch surrounding it is a bit more difficult to explain, but could be another part of the tree. Another possibility is that the photo depicts a potu, a type of bird whose northern range, as luck would have it, extends into the Yucatan Peninsula. It doesn't come into America because it knows we'll all make fun of its name. However, some do argue that the photo was not taken in Mexico at all. To the contrary, journalist Mauricio Schwartz replied, "Yes, Andres, an engineer 3 days ago, took a photo that has been doing the rounds in Nuevo Leon since February of 2021 and in Thailand since December of that year. You are sad, very sad, and the country even more. If you believe it, you are stupid. If you know you are lying, you are malicious." He even included screenshots clearly showing the photo from 2 earlier sources. For now, put a pin in that claim about the photo circulating in Nuevo Leon. Let's address the accusation that the photo was taken in Thailand. Proponents of this theory suggest that the figure in the photograph is a primate, most likely a gibbon. Both can indeed be found in Thailand. However, there is a problem with this explanation as well. Haplorhine primate, which includes human beings and gibbons to name a couple, lack a tapetum lucidum, meaning that they do not produce eye shine. The reason people sometimes have red glowing eyes in photographs is not because of a tapetum lucidum, but because the light from the flash is actually reflecting off blood in our retinas. Unless it's my ex. That means she's possessed. While we can't rule out something similar at play in the Woodland Elf photo, it calls the primate explanation into question. But as that turns out, we don't even need the Thailand explanation. We already have an origin story for the image. Let's return to the indisputable fact that AMLO's photograph, which he claimed was taken on February 22nd, 2023, actually surfaced over 2 years ago in Nuevo Leon. Now, an article from February 10th, 2021 carried an identical picture with the title, "Alleged Witch is Captured in General Terrain, Nuevo Leon," and causes a stir on social media. It isn't a long story at all. In fact, The entire text reads as follows. An alleged witch was captured above a tree in the municipality of General Terran, Nuevo Leon. The unusual image circulated on different social networks and has caused a stir among users. The presence of the supposed witch was captured by a man named Juan in a tree in a park located in the Citricultores neighborhood in the aforementioned royal municipality. After capturing the supposed witch, Juan did not hesitate to publish the incredible image, and netizens wrote different comments, most of them mocking and even made memes. Users drew different conclusions from the photo. Some say that it is indeed a strange creature, while others laugh. The image shows a silhouette with a slim complexion, has a kind of turban on its head, and stares at the camera. It's worth noting that Nuevo Leon has a long history of sightings describing brujas, or witches. You might remember from a recent video where we discussed footage taken on May 17th, 2006 by a UFO group that appears to show a flying humanoid coasting over mountains in the area. Well, if you haven't seen that video yet, please check that out somewhere up here. Nuevo Leon is also home to one of the most famous recent encounters involving a witch, because on January 16th, 2004, police officer Leonardo Samaniego claimed a terrifying experience where a flying bruja attacked his squad car. In short, it seems as if President AMLO has been either misled or is essentially lying about the provenance of the Woodland Elf photograph. Questions still linger, however. Why this photo? Why did AMLO specifically say it shows an Aloosh? And why did he post it now? Is there some sort of secret agenda at play? Perhaps an effort to hide another issue, sleight of hand? Are we dealing with elves or politics here? In order to understand that, we first have to address the popularity of little people's stories in other parts of the world besides America. The secularized West has done a lot to diminish the possibility of small supernatural entities lurking among us, but the idea refuses to die in some areas. In Iceland, for instance, polls from as recently as the late 1990s placed belief in something called Hordefolk, a term meaning hidden people, somewhere around 54%. I mean, even in Ireland, where belief is less rampant, some folks still harbor a lingering fear of being caught in fairy forts overnight. As a young man in a Dublin pub once told a fairy researcher, "Of course I don't believe in fairies, but I'm scared to death of them." Even in the United States, and I know some people will disagree, a compelling argument can be made that our enduring fascination with UFOs and aliens represents another reinvention of the idea of magical little people abducting victims to their realm. The point I'm trying to make here is that while many folks laugh at the idea that elves or fairies exist still carries a great amount of weight in many parts of the world today. This is certainly the case among some communities in Latin America. While the Aloosh may have originated with the Mayans, belief in similar creatures can be found all throughout Mexico, continuing all the way down into Central and South America. Today, many believers don't necessarily use the term Aloosh. They instead use words borrowed from Aztec folklore and imported Iberian belief, the terms chaneque and duende specifically. While most rational people in Latin America relegate these creatures to mere superstition and fiction, others are not so sure, because they see them. For instance, in 1920, several horseback riders were traveling along Bolivia's River Arque when they had a peculiar experience. After setting up their tent on the banks of the river, they found their sleep interrupted in the middle of the night by strange noises around the camp. At first, they assumed a band of thieves had come to rob them. However, one brave soul summoned the courage to investigate and found not robbers, but rather a small man who identified himself as a duende. In perfect Spanish, the little creature told the witness that he needed fire. The witness was too terrified to accommodate this request and instead commanded the duende to leave, which it did by leaping into the river. The witness claimed that no one else in camp had seen the creature nor even left their tents. He returned to sleep, but was awoken a short time later by the sound of footsteps once again circling the camp. After a brief period where stones began pelting the sides of his tent, the man found himself seized by two small duendes who tried to drag him off into the forest. The witness's screams roused his traveling companions, who jumped out of their tents to help, and according to the story, their presence alone alarmed the duendes, who chose to drop their victim and escape into the river once again. In the summer of 1970, Arturo Gutierrez Gutierrez was about to stand trial for the murder of his nephew, Arturo, who had disappeared while hiking with him in June near the Santa Maria Mixtequilla, Mexico. To Ricardo's relief, the boy turned up after 33 days in the wilderness, appearing in good condition and well fed. A similar outcome for some of our very own missing persons children here in the United States and our national parks. When asked where he was, Arturo simply said that he had been living with the little men. They gave me food and milk with honey in it. We played a lot of games, and I was very happy. It should be noted that in stories where Chaneques abduct bad little boys and girls, they make them watch Velma on HBO Max and feed them Sbarro.
Wait, did you realize I stole all your zoinks? Please don't kill me.
3 years later, Cirila Montero Lagunes of La Tinaja, Mexico, reported that her 3-year-old son disappeared for 6 days in March of 1973. When he returned, he claimed that 5 little men, which he identified as Chaneques, had discovered him and invited him to their cave. Here, they gave him sort of sweet food and played games with him. According to the mother, she found her son after learning his location from another boy who said that the Chaneques themselves had shared the missing child's whereabouts. He was at last rescued from a small cave 9 miles from his home, which was covered in an almost impenetrable layer of thorny bushes. Is anybody getting missing 411 vibes here? And in May of 2011, the village of Suncho Corral in Argentina was beset by a series of attacks from a sinister imp-like creature that locals would describe as short with enormous pointy hat atop its head. It attacked travelers on the road late at night, including one man on his way to a birthday party who was severely beaten. The creature also tried to attack another young person around the same time, blocking his path on the road. He was only saved after his screams caught the attention of his neighbors. One of the most dramatic encounters happened when the creature nearly knocked a man off of his bicycle. He barely maintained enough control to pedal away as fast as he could travel. Now that's what I call a vicious cycle. Anyone in America who shares videos or photographs of little people most often get laughed at. Posted in Latin America, however, and more people will take the sighting far more seriously. Of course, some videos are easily dismissed as hoaxes. For example, a clip from December 2010 shows an alleged duende crossing a kitchen in Mexico while some boys kick a soccer ball back and forth. The creature comes shrieking in from the right-hand side of the frame and disappears around a corner. I'm not saying it's definitely a hoax, but it looks like it could easily be a toddler in a robe escaping into the house. Other videos, however, are a little more interesting. 2 from Argentina warrant special attention. The first one appeared on the internet around March of 2008, meaning that the video quality is especially rotten, making it difficult to draw any conclusions. However, what little can be seen is genuinely unnerving. According to accompanying news articles, teenager Jose Alvarez was hanging out with some of his friends around 1 in the morning when they heard something peculiar in the bushes. According to Jose, it sounded like someone tossing stones in their direction. Jose said this: "We looked to one side and saw that the grass was moving. To begin with, we thought it was a dog, but when we saw this gnome-like figure begin to emerge, we were really afraid." In the video, whoever is filming turns and focuses his phone on a little shape by the side of the road. The figure, decked out in what appears to be a pointed cap, lurches out into the streetlight with an unnatural sideways gait. The clip ends abruptly as the eyewitnesses scream and flee. Jose went on to describe the aftermath of their sighting, saying, "This is no joke. We are still afraid to go out, just like anyone else in the neighborhood now. One of my friends was so scared after seeing that thing, we had to take him to the hospital." Since its debut, skeptics have poked plenty of holes in this story. They say that the setup, reveal, and subsequent cut are simply a little too perfect to be believed. There's even a second take on the video that looks slightly different, although it seems possible that this might have been simply taken from another phone. Another red flag are the creature's arms, which are held loosely at its sides. A little too loosely, in fact. Around 48 seconds in, the creature lifts its left arm. It flops around like the end of a long-sleeved shirt worn by a small person or child, which is what most people believe the video actually shows. Whether real or a hoax, it's still unsettling. The second Argentinian video is only slightly better in terms of quality. However, it is significantly longer. In 2017, a group of young teenage girls were walking through a field near the village of Tacopalta y Marta when they spotted something strange. It was a small shape stepping out from the edge of the forest in their field of view. In the video, one of the girls can be heard asking whether or not the creature standing before them is a duende. Shortly after asking this question, the figure begins walking in their direction. The other girls begin screaming hysterically, urging each other to get away as quickly as they can. The video is completely inconclusive. While it does look as if something small and dark is approaching the group on 2 feet, it could be anything from a child to a simple manipulation of a few pixels using a program like After Effects. Obviously, little people traditions are alive and well in Latin America. This might have something to do with why the president of Mexico posted the Woodland Elf photo in the first place. It is entirely likely what AMLO, well aware of the popularity of these beliefs, capitalized upon them to gain political points. This might partially explain why he repurposed an older photograph of a witch as an Aloosh, but to what end? I have no desire to wade into Mexican politics. I don't have a frame of reference for the nuance of what is happening in the country, and even if I did, everyone has differentiating political opinions. However, it's necessary to situate the president's tweet within the context of his administration, which has proven highly controversial. Many of his opponents claim that the AMLO is an ignorant populist, with a propensity for making erroneous, false, and misleading statements. His opponents also claim that he consistently downplays the environmental impact of his policies, which they say unnecessarily favor economic projects, and one of those projects is mentioned in the text accompanying the Woodland Elf photo. AMLO's tweet mentions the Mayan train works, or Tren Maya. He announced the project in 2018 before he was even officially sworn in as president. The rail line, which has a scheduled completion date of 2024, aims to bring more tourists to ancient Mayan archaeological sites throughout the interior of the Yucatan Peninsula. President AMLO believes that this will provide the region with economic success. I mean, especially after the blow from COVID. We all know we need it. A vocal contingent opposes this development. They say that the project will not only negatively impact the environment, but will also damage irreplaceable archaeological sites. As of January of last year, the project had uncovered over 8,000 artifacts and structures, some of which will undoubtedly be destroyed to make way for the train. The National Alliance for Conservation of the Jaguars says that the Tren Maya will damage the big cat's habitat, and has even proposed a dozen wildlife corridors that need to be constructed in order to alleviate the detrimental effects on the environment. There are also rampant accusations of more deforestation than originally allotted for in the permit applications and environmental impact assessments. To top it all off, the trains were originally supposed to use electric locomotives. That plan has since been scrapped in favor of diesel engines to reduce costs. So why would AMLO invoke the Aloosh in conjunction with the Mayan train project? Well, there are several possibilities. The most innocent is that it is an effort to generate interest in ancient Mayan sites like Ekbalam, in other words, a ploy to increase tourism and money, making the entire area seem more mysterious. Remember, the president ended his tweet by saying everything is mystical. Another more cynical interpretation might be that the AMLO is trying to deflect criticism. Maybe he posted the photo to signal his respect for the ancient sites that might be destroyed in the construction of Tren Maya. Yet another option is that, in presenting what he claims to be an Aloosh, the president thinks he can convince his more supernaturally minded constituents that these ancient spirits protecting the Yucatan jungle approve of his pet project. Because if you're not with me, you're against the elves. So what can we say for certain about the Woodland Elf photo? We still don't know what it shows. Ultimately, it's a mystery and will remain inconclusive. It could easily have been faked and may indeed be a hoax. It might be a misidentification of a known species. There's also a small chance that it may show something genuinely supernatural. We do know one thing though. It has nothing to do with the Tren Maya project, and it was taken in a completely different part of Mexico. And if anything, The photograph does reveal one thing worth mentioning. People in positions of power hold strange beliefs. As American financier and investment banker J.P. Morgan once said, millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires do. It also seems, as President AMLO has demonstrated, that they aren't above using supernatural beliefs for their own agendas. But more importantly, I want to know what you guys think. Is the Woodland Elf photograph a misidentification, a complete hoax staged for publicity, or something of the supernatural realm? Please let me know what you think down in the comments below. I would love to hear it. And if you guys enjoy storytelling of the mysterious and supernatural, please go ahead and smack the like and subscribe button for more content just like this. As always, I love you all. Keep an open mind, and I'll see you guys in the very next episode.